Hi, my name's Greg McCoach with the Mining Speculator. I'm here today with Janet Sheriff, President and CEO of Golden Predator Resources. We're going to be talking about the Three Aces project, and we're going to be asking Janet questions about what's happening, what's the latest news, and where do we think things are going to go. So Janet, let's start off with after my site visit, it was so impressive, the size of this project and that it has district scale potential. Why don't you talk a little bit more about that and let viewers understand just how big this is?
Yeah, and thanks very much for this opportunity today to get together, Greg, and also for coming to site. I know you were there, 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, 3 days.
So you saw everything from the prospector who found it to taking the gold to the bank. So
absolutely. Yeah.
It was, we really enjoyed having you out there.
It was a great trip.
Yeah, it's Three Aces is an amazing project. It's not your typical tombstone-related intrusive project that you see in the Yukon. It's an orogenic system. It's taken us through the year to really finesse that model, but really a district scale with a stratigraphically and structurally controlled trend for 35 kilometers over a 357 square kilometer project. We focus in the main central area where we have built a bridge and about 27 kilometers of roads, and continue to have great success all through the season this year. But really see this as something that is going to be a very large underground target, potentially a starter pit type of operation, but high grade project.
Yeah, high grade is what investors want. And what I was so impressed with, and let's first cover something else, that the amount of drilling you're doing. You have a very aggressive drill program that you had for 2017. I know you still have more results coming. Why don't you talk about when those results will be out and how much more you plan on doing for this year?
We finished up for this year. We had some very unseasonable extreme snow.
Right.
Last year we were able to continue to December 15th. It started to get quite expensive in our opinion, so we wrapped it up early. But we did have a very aggressive program. At 1.3 drills we're running, and we expect approximately 50 holes still coming back.
Wow.
We only stopped about a week ago. We changed our program through the summer. We had planned for 3 rigs all summer. The Yukon Geological Survey came out with new mapping in the area, and it really was a pivotal point for the company.
Yes.
They had done mapping in the 60s, and everything was listed as one type of rock. We hosted them in camp, and they spent 2 years out there of a 5-year program. And we found that there's a trend that runs in 2 rock types for the whole property for 35 kilometers. And we overlaid this type of structure with our soil sampling that we had done across the property and extending into the 2 properties that we picked up to the north. And we found that all of the soils were coming back favorable results in this one type of rock. And so we went into an extensive soil sampling program, 10,000 samples across the whole property. Right from the south to the north, we did all of the infill. Originally, we had thought we would follow stream sediments, but this mapping proved invaluable to us. That now has about 15% of the results back, and it's expanded our central area from 11 to 13 square kilometers.
Wow, that's showing size.
Yeah. We're very happy with that change, but it was a big change for our program this summer.
And I think the map you're talking about, we're going to update that in our newsletter with the special report that I did on Golden Predator. We'll add that and have a blurb about the understanding of what that brings to the table.
Okay.
So that'll be we'll be doing that here in the near future.
Excellent.
One of the things that I was impressed with when I was on my site visit, I basically just tagged along with Bill, and I just followed him in his daily duties, right? And it really gave me some real insight that you usually don't get in a typical site visit. For example, one morning, we go up in the truck, and Bill wanted to talk to the dozer operator, the D9 bulldozer operator, and he wanted to understand how he was going to cut this road across the very steep terrain. And so after they talked about it, basically we were just walking behind him as he was cutting this very dangerous road in this very steep area. And as he was doing so, right there in the dirt wall, here you see white quartz. I literally walked up, pulled a rock out, and had gold in it, right? And that was a kilometer away from the original discovery. So that got me excited. I mean, I thought, geez, if it was that easy just to, show continuity, obviously you need to put some drill holes in between the discovery and that to build the resource. But overall, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, the key is to really building this understanding of just what we have here at 3 Aces is to get this data, get the mapping into the computer of the veins and start modeling and start, kind of seeing where things are going, and then you'll get a better understanding of where to put your future drill holes.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, and Bill has been instrumental in establishing the vision for the technical program. And he describes 3 Aces as really like it's an old school boots on the ground type of program. It's very basic. There's 3 rock types: golden quartz, pebble conglomerate, shale. It doesn't take it takes old style prospecting, in his opinion. So walking the property, taking the soils, trenching, finding the visible gold, and establishing the drill targets. It's a very simple but labor intensive. You need the geo on the ground.
Right.
That leads to the drill program, and we really start shallow and step out from there. And we did that in the spade zone, and it needed really tight space drilling,
right,
because it was so high grade. But then you go into other areas like the clubs and the hearts, and you can go a little bit wider and a little bit deeper. And through that different approach, depending on the ground we're in, we've found the main controlling structure.
Yeah.
From the hearts to the clubs. And it's about 10 meter thick, runs about 2 to 10 grams per ton.
That's good.
It's going over 1.6 to 1.8 kilometers. It's open to the northwest and down dip. And we found through that a second structure about 200 meters below. We're going to be testing whether or not the spade zone is part of one of those 2 flat-lying shears. But the big potential for the property is finding those big shear zones.
Sure, and the parallel veins, and it just makes the economics so much better.
Yes.
So yeah, and the fact that we're just really, in my view, we're just scratching the surface. In the area you're currently working, when you look at the vision and the size of the project. And
it's hard to believe that there's a project where you just find visible gold on surface. And through trenching and sampling, but you're a testament. It really does happen.
Oh, it does,
and it's hard to kind of get your head around that at times.
Well, and the road, there's a major road that runs right by the project. To think all the mining companies that went up and down that road, and there it was, right over the top of the hill there. Right?
Yeah.
I thought the company had really good vision too, and understanding right away that you needed heavy equipment to get in there and do this work, which is expensive, but that's what was required, and you had the confidence to move forward and do that.
Yeah.
So that's a really kudos to the company. Right?
Yeah, and again, it was the vision that the company before us had done a good job. They just didn't have the access across the river to bring in the heavy equipment. Right. Putting the bridge in was the turning point for the
critical.
Project.
Yeah, it really made things happen.
Yeah, and again, we owe the timing and the speed of that decision making to the support from the First Nations that we have on the project.
Right, and from what I saw in the camp kitchen, which was really good food, by the way.
Thank you.
I've been to a lot of different camp kitchens over the years, and that was very good. But I noticed that there was a heavy presence of First Nations employees.
Yes.
And why don't we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's something really important to me.
Yeah.
We have about 60 employees seasonal that were Yukoners. About half of the Yukon employees were Kaska Nation. We have a number of contracts with the Casca Nation. They provide 100% of our fuel. The drill contract was with them. A number of smaller service contracts. Very important. I've worked in the Yukon for 25 years, lived there. I truly believe that mining is the only sector that can create the opportunity for wealth in rural communities.
Right, I agree.
There's high-paying jobs, technical jobs, jobs that transition out of mining, building the infrastructure you need to go into other sectors. And the Casca Nation, we've had so much support, and they value mining and what it can do as long as they're part of it.
Right, and that's a win-win. That's what we want in the mining business. We're not looking to be greedy. We want to win, but we want everybody to win. And that you guys have certainly the right philosophy. So
thank you.
It's good to see that. Yeah, I mean, and just from a standpoint of with such good relations, I don't see any problems with the things that you would need to do in the future to move things forward as far as First Nations go. It seems like you're going to get their full support.
Yeah, I think the important part about the project is, before we even started, we did prayer circles. We had drumming ceremonies. We really incorporate the culture of the First Nation.
Right.
But they were clear in the beginning that their concern was, how will this mine, because they did see one day this can become a mine, how will we mine it? When you get 80% recovery from gravity feed with water only on our processing plant, and we can find ways by running our own processing to increase that to potentially over 90% with a Falcon concentrator, we know that we don't have to have a heap. We know that we'll have a mill operation, and that makes the impact on the land and the permitting process very different.
Right.
And I think it goes a long way to addressing some of their concerns.
Their concerns, right.
So having that processing plant and having the ability to do our own testing all along, it becomes a real game changer for a company like Golden Predator.
I was so impressed with the processing plant. On my site visit, I was lucky. I was one of the few people, of all the people you had up there, that got to see the processing plant. And it's well off site from where the main activity happens. But just the fact that I've very rarely ever seen an exploration company have a processing plant like this, where you've already produced, 800 ounces?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I happened to be with Bill the day that we were taking a doré bar and depositing it over in the bank vault. And so that was kind of fun. And I've since learned that you've taken it to Toronto.
Yeah, in September, we went with the Premier and the Minister of Mines to do an investor luncheon. And we brought a 770-ounce doré bar with the RCMP and had it on display. And it went off to the refinery after that. And
so metallurgically, that's important to identify up front early on that there's no problems with the metallurgy, which is good to know for investors. And I'm very bullish on the story. I just think we're still an early stage, even though that we have a discovery. In my view, we have a multi-million-ounce discovery that is going to grow in size. And I just think that as gold prices head higher, this is a great opportunity, investors, at anything less than $1. Where we're in this period right now where we have an exceptional opportunity to buy it below $1, right? 70 cents currently.
Yeah.
I think half the value comes from your Brewery Creek project, 35 cents. So basically, you're getting it for cash value.
Yeah, everyone forgets about Brewery Creek. Yeah. You're right. That does add a lot of value.
Yeah. Well, is there any other questions or any other statements, comments that you want to make before we end up today? No,
I'd say just watch as we focus in on the Hearts Club corridor and really get into those structures and figure out how to build ounces and when will we get going in the springtime? When do you see things would really get going again? Last year we started mid-February. Yep. It will be weather dependent. If the weather holds up and it's nice and crisp and cold and not too much snow, then we'll get in there well before spring. But really, the drill's still on site. We didn't demob. We just parked it, and it's all ready to go when we just look out and the weather's right. Well, it looks like it's going to be an exciting 2018 for Golden Predator. We're very excited. Thanks, Janet. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me today. Yep.